and welcome to the inaugural. Yes, I Googled the word inaugural to check that I was using it correctly. Podcast of Jess McDonald. That's me, if you don't know. It is called Do It on the Day, which you probably know because you clicked into this and it's in the title, probably. Basically, what we're doing here is suggesting that tutorials are boring, life is insane, video games are fun, let's just do it on the day. Which is ironic because I've been thinking about doing this podcast for many months, and really the solution was to just sit down and talk to you right now. It's pressing record and doing it on the day. So basically what I've got for you is a podcast about video games and nonsense, because that's what I wrote on the logo. Now, this is a different experience for me. Normally, I am making Twitch videos where I get to talk to you the entire time. There's no chat. It's just me and you, the camera, which is weirder than I expected it to be because, or I guess it's you in your ear holes because you can listen to this as audio. It's either your eyes or your ears, but either way, they're not here. Those body parts are not in this room. The only ears and eyes in here right now are mine. So for some stupid reason, which is why you just listened to that sentence, I've decided I was going to not edit this at all. I think what I might do is edit it very minimally. So I think if there is editing, it will just be because I got to the end of a segment. I'm going to throw up the ugliest transition you've ever seen, and we're going to move on to the next part. Basically, I want this to be your podcast as much as it is mine. I'm here to entertain you, particularly if you've decided, well, not particularly, you're all important equally to me. But I'm particularly grateful if you have subscribed on Ko-fi or Patreon and thus entered the realm of, yes, Jessica, I would like even more of this podcast. Please deliver me an exclusive just for Patreon and Ko-fi people extended, uncut, and unnecessary edition. Is that what I called it? Hang on, I called it uncut, uncensored, unnecessary. All of these segment titles are liable to change, but essentially, I would love to build this on the back of what you are enjoying, what you want to see. You've offered me a bunch of ideas for segments that you would like me to do. So I think what I might do today, and I've done a surprising amount of prep, which is not really like me, which is also kind of the opposite of the do it on the day mentality, which is I'll just wing it, it'll be fine. Most of this is going to be wong. I feel like we should say wong. That's not a word, is it? See, we're already innovating, we're changing, we're starting a discussion back and forth. There's value. There's real value here. Anyway, again, we're back to the me deciding to not edit this, but I think that will be part of the fun. Goodness gracious, I hope so. If it's not, let me know. But I think that that's what I want to deliver to you. And essentially, returning to my point from 4 sentences ago, what I think I might do today is cherry pick a bunch of the segments that I want to give you and I think might work really well. And we'll do them as like little mini packets of things. And then going forward, maybe they'll happen every week. Maybe they'll happen when it's relevant. Maybe they'll stop happening because they didn't work and it wasn't interesting. Whatever it is, essentially, what I want to give you is something that is generally entertaining, hopefully funny, a little bit interesting, largely about video games, and a little bit about life. Somebody fucking write that down because that's better than what I wrote as the description for this. What was that, a jump cut? That's because Jessica realized she had to say something and I didn't say it and I jumped into the second segment and then I was like, oh no, we gotta go back and say something. Anyway, this is one of those edits I was talking about. If you don't know me, I'm Jess McDonald. I am currently on What Culture Gaming. You may know me from there. I also worked at GameSpot for 10 years. So I've been a games journalist for a very long time. How old am I? 15 years? Jesus Christ. And I'm also streaming on Twitch at Jess McDonald. And I do dumb shit on Instagram and a bunch of different social things, which I'm sure you will find in some kind of link somewhere. Essentially, I am here to try and make you laugh and think a little and hopefully have fun and recommend some video games you might want to play. And sometimes give you life advice, which will feel like it comes really out of left field given the attitude to everything else and the thematic subject matter that is video games and video game news. But trust me, I think you'll like it. It'll be fun. Don't worry, we got all kinds of good stuff. Yeah, essentially we're going to be talking about video games and the world of video games, but also I think just we've gone for a very generic title, and I do say we because you guys, if you're in the Discord, helped me come up with the name, which is something I say when I play games because, as I said, tutorials are boring. When I get explained a new mechanic or a heavy piece of lore in a video game, I'd really rather just run into the fray and figure it out. Much like if you're playing a board game and someone wants to sit you down and read all the instructions, if you too have the mentality of, let's just do a practice round, just throw me in, I'll figure it out. That's kind of the approach. And I think there's that approach to video games, which is where the title came from. And also, I think it's not a bad approach to life. That feels like a big sweeping general statement that I'm applying to all kinds of things where it might not be true. But that's fine. That's fine. We, much like AI, say things confidently that may be right or wrong. This podcast does not support AI and will never use it. That's right, I made my own logo and that's why it looks like that. I feel like we've jumped into AI early. Anyway, this might be a good opportunity to jump into the first segment that I have for you, and that is intro. Nope, we've done that. That is what I've been playing. So here's what I've been playing. Was that good? Was that a good intro? Let me know if you would like me to change the jingles. It was suggested that I should sing stupid shit over the top of the word art MS Paint transitions that I've decided to use instead of making this look like an actual professional did it. Because it's not like I was a video editor for 10 years. No. We have to do another of my quotes that's not do it on the day is, given the chance to do anything in life, do the funniest thing. What's the funniest thing? Stupid looking transitions, and instead of getting fun, zazzy, hooky stingers, singing something stupid to you. In any case, let's jump back in. First segment, what I've been playing. How many intros have I done to this? Not that many. Remember when I said I wasn't going to edit this? I swear to God, I'm barely taking anything out. There's still way too much I'm leaving in, so you're getting all the good stuff. So what I've been playing is Outer Worlds 2, the sequel to Outer Worlds. I know, where else could you go online in video game journalism, in any kind, print, editorial, video, everyone on Twitch, to hear that Outer Worlds 2 is the sequel to Outer Worlds? This is primo diamond in the rough type stuff you're getting with this podcast. Anyway, not only is it the sequel, it kind of may as well be an addendum. I have played, gosh, what did I play? I played yesterday because I desperately wanted to start it. That's not true. Technically, I started it and made a character for 90 minutes. Luckily, there wasn't too many customization options, so it didn't take a Cyberpunk 2077 amount of time. But it was very enjoyable. We tried to make me in the game, which is mostly picking brown hair, brown eyes, and the lightest skin tone that the game will permit. I like to think I can like go one down. And then I was creating the character with Twitch chat who just went, no, lighter. It's lighter. But that's okay. That is the cross I have to bear. But then after that, I decided the next day that I just really wanted to tuck in. And after a little bit of an intro section where you're just on the ship getting thrown into the nitty gritty of what it means to be part of the Earth Directorate, This is why normal people do research before their podcasts, or at least edit them, but that's boring and we won't. The Earth Directorate. So when we kicked off at the beginning, we got to choose a backstory of exactly where, to what circumstances brought our protagonist to become a part of this. There's the various things. You're an ex-con that got thrown into it. You happened to be what they call a professor with a penchant for hands-on archaeology, which is a great way of describing Indiana Jones Tomb Raider type person. We ended up choosing, I kind of wanted that one because I thought it was quite funny, but I also think pretty much everyone will pick that because the professor background is cool, and it's just funny that your backstory is just being Indiana Jones. But we decided to go with Gambler because if you do know anything about me, or if you've seen me stream before, I love a gambling minigame. Not a gambler in real life. I gambled once in my whole life. I used one of those like pressy button poker machines. I had $10. I put $10 in. I didn't know how to use it. I pressed some buttons. It was like, you have $20 now. And I was like, sweet, I'm done. And the person I was with was like, that is not how you gamble. Like, keep playing. And I was like, why would I do that? I've doubled the money I started with. So then I took my little ticket up to the counter because it was a proper casino to be like, hey, I'm done. And I don't know if anyone had ever tried to take out just $20 before when they just got there. But anyway, that's me gambling in real life. Me gambling in video games is, I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of save scumming. It's a lot of save, gamble, if fail at gamble, or gambling minigame. Our name in the game is Jessica Pazak. I don't know if you know Pazak. If you know, you know. KOTOR times. I just finished Ghost of Yotei as well. I want to say Zeni Hajiki is the name of like this little coin flicking game. The coin falls off the table. They get the coin. You got to get to 6 coins. You got to hit another coin without hitting extra coins. They're all spread around a table with pots that get in the way. Anyway, I was saving. And then if I failed, loading on that game too. But essentially what we ended up doing, ooh, it's going to be a long podcast, isn't it? Is choosing the gambler backstory. Which initially I was like, oh, I don't want to be like running around being like, money grubbing, whatever. But then I've started and remembered that I am like that in video games. Whilst I like to be, and definitely when I was younger, huge fan of being a white knight, I'll give away all my money. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Actually, so many of the encounters, random things I found, it's just person having a hard time, give person money, person thankful. And KOTOR actually has a segment like that too, where you can just help people with their gambling debts, help people who are destitute. You can just throw money at people. And I'm such a person who does that because I'm like, I can always get more money. If I can help this NPC, I'll do that, which makes me sound like such a better person than I am. But if you don't know me that well and you're just going to take that as my personality, a rambler who means well, actually, I think that is my whole personality. So that works out fine. Now, essentially, what I realized upon getting properly into Outer Worlds 2 is I do like saying, yeah, I helped you out. Do you want to reward me? Because that's funnier than just being like, no problem, that's fine. Just happy to play my part. It's possible that since I hit my 30s, I've become somewhat hardened or maybe just less of a people pleaser. See, this is the nonsense part of me saying this would be about video games and nonsense. There's going to be a lot of tidbits where you're like, Jessica, is that particularly relevant to the what I've been playing segment? Not really, but now you know that about me. So anyway, Outer Worlds 2, it's really fun. I'm having a really good time. I wish I was playing it right now. I really do. But I'm talking to you about the game. It's such a I'll just do one more thing game. And I think what's really attractive about it is, and I'm not sure how long the second one is, I haven't looked it up, but at least the first one, it's a real mini RPG. I think the first one was like 20, 30 hours. I tend to take a lot longer in every game, actually, because I'm a completionist. I like to do everything. Not to the point of madness. I did not do absolutely everything in Ghost of Yotei as far as the aesthetic collectibles, but I almost did. Yeah, it's I couldn't put it down yesterday until I was starving because I hadn't had lunch and I absolutely had to record this for you. And I did just say yesterday, so if you cottoned onto that, you probably realized I didn't record it yesterday. Why? Because I decided to move a lot of furniture into this room because I need to for house renovation reasons. That's also something that you may find. For some reason, you guys suggested you want that in the uncut, unnecessary, uncensored edition for coffee and patron followers. So that will go up as an exclusive that you can have access to, I guess. I don't know why you want to watch me move furniture. It was pretty funny, actually. I got a really big couch through the door. Anyway, we're getting off track. Ooh, I could have called this podcast Anyway, We're Getting Off Track. Anyway, we've gotten off track. I'm having a really good time with Outer Worlds too. I like my character. Initially, I thought it was really cool that you can play in first and third person. Kicked into third person for a second. Was like, nah, I think there's a reason they play in first person. There's a reason Cyberpunk only has first person. It's a shame because the character looks so good. Although I have kitted her out in Xbox provided me with a code very kindly. I've kitted her out in she has a premium Moon Man head. So I made her face look as much like mine as I possibly could, and then I covered her face with a giant capitalist Moon Man. But that's very Outer Worlds too. And that's the other thing that I love about it is it's just goofy. It's irreverent. It doesn't take itself seriously. And having come off the back of Ghost of Yotei, something that's just having fun with itself is so refreshing. Something that, for example, I think a really good synthesis of what I love so much about it is I went to unlock something and there was no minigame. And I think that's just the perfect antithesis of what I think a mini RPG is. It doesn't press everything into a really granular mechanic place where it's you would expect that from a 100-hour RPG. Things like that. And instead, it's got a really acceptable, dealable amount of skills to spec into. There are 90 perks, but mostly because they're fun. It's a somewhat forgiving system. There's a lot of different ways to engage. I have not specced into being particularly combat focused. So when I'm in combat, I struggle a little, but I haven't had a game over 5 hours in. Maybe because I haven't fucking left town for the last 2 hours. Because I'm running around people's houses stealing all their shit. But if I'm not running around people's houses stealing all their shit, I genuinely don't know what I'm doing in a WRPG. Like, that is the reason to play Western RPGs. And I think there are purists who really enjoy when things are more punishing. I was talking on stream yesterday about stealing shit. Another thing I love doing in video games but do not do in real life. I haven't stolen anything. I haven't even stolen a piece of gum from like a corner shop, which is kind of lame, but it's true. Embarrassingly lawful. Anyway, I think there's something to people who enjoy the Baldur's Gate 3 approach, which is more when you steal something, if they don't see you and you get away with it, they're still going to notice something's gone and be like, who's done this? And they'll go looking for you. That's all well and good, and I don't not enjoy that, but I still get that sheer straight up dopamine from I'm just going to crouch down, shimmy slightly out of your eye line and take everything, even the things that are sitting directly in front of you. That just gives me growing up on Morrowind, Oblivion feelings, and that's just nostalgia to me. I love that. That's like hearing a sound bite, sound effect from Legend of Zelda. That's just bliss. So I'm really enjoying it. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm playing, and I wish I was playing it now. And that's the end of that segment. Should I say that at the end of every segment? I think maybe I will today. Mini review! I'm giving you a mini review. I talked about Ghost of Yotei already, so I'll talk about it a little bit more. I ended up spending 80 hours in this game that was supposed to be not that big of a game, but that's not on them, that's on me. I overall really enjoyed this. I Oh, I think it's such a good example of how I felt about it because I enjoyed the flexibility to engage in different ways as the game went on. At the start, much like Elden Ring, actually, and I guess a lot of RPGs, you're very constricted into here's a pistol, here's your basic katana, here's what does Elden Ring give you? A sword? Depends what. Well, you're starting engagement equipment from the class you pick. And that is difficult because you haven't been able to choose your playstyle. And at the beginning of Yotei, I felt similarly to, I recall beginning Cyberpunk 2077, where I was like, this is so bloody difficult. Also, Elden Ring made me feel that way because I hadn't yet been able to explore the mechanics that worked better for me, find different ways to engage. There's pretty good gear setups in all of those games that you can cater to not just the traditional way that you want to take on enemies. The traditional way the game wants you to take on enemies, but however you want to do it and however you want to cheese it. If you want to, Assassin's Creed, I went all in on assassination. Even the big boys, you can just jump on them and take them down. You don't have to learn how to parry or do anything. A little bit more so in Valhalla than Odyssey, but in Odyssey, if you just max out that assassination stat, you can just jump on anybody and they're gone. That was pretty good. At the start of the game, I found it a little challenging because I had limited ways to engage. During the middle of the game and towards the end, and almost every scenario I really enjoyed. I turned it into a stealth archery game. That was really fun. Towards the end, I got when I picked up in particular the, oh man, I want to say Kurasigama. Kusarigama. When I got the, I've not said that right. Not even once in the 80 hours I was playing Ghost of Yotei. The Kosarigama, did I say it wrong again? Has really good, that combined with, there's a Crimson Assassin-y armor, and kunai, the little throwing guys, really sets you up to be an excellent assassin. And I loved that going into the later engagements, particularly having spec'd into chain assassination. I felt that Odyssey vibe of just being really unstoppable, knowing that because I had decided to fully spec out that tree, wear that armor, make sure I had kunai on hand, and take good advantage of being stealthy, I was far more effective than if I tried to just run in there. Because boy, half the time if I try to just run in there, I'm done. Getting the smoke bomb was super helpful because they lose you instantly. One of the things I found really tricky was there is key binding that overlaps. So one of the keys that changes weapon also pulls up your UI interface, and also picks things up. Yeah, so your picking up button is the same as your changing weapon button, so it bumps up the UI. So you're picking up a flower and then you see like the whole thing. That took some getting used to. The thing that I found even more difficult was when you move towards an enemy to do a stealth kill, like in pretty much any game that lets you do a stealth kill, you'll get a visual prompt. But when you pick up other weapons, like the Kusarigama, you can do a Kusarigama assassination, and that will also pop as a prompt. Now that's R2 plus circle, while the chain assassination is on R2 and will also come up by getting close to them. So it was sort of a crapshoot as to three different things: whether I was going to get the prompt for a chain assassination, which is what I wanted to do and what was possible because there was another guy close enough to pull it off, or if I was going to get the prompt for the Kusarigama assassination, or if I saw chain and Kusarigama and I knew I wanted to do chain, I'd hit R2 and she'd just stand up and swing her sword, which is, R2 was also the heavy attack button if you are not stealthed and behind someone. So I think while there were some wonderful things about how many different opportunities you had to use different weapons, engage, it is a loaded controller. You have you have four different like styles of ranged weapons, and within that, for example, you have things you can throw, and within that rather bombs you can throw. You've got smoke bombs and fire bombs. And then completely separately, you've got quick fire weapons, which are things you can throw separately. That's your kunai, your smoke bombs, your Oni's flame, which lets you set your weapon on fire. It is a super loaded controller. And it's for that reason I didn't want to pick up and put down the game too much, because I would forget everything. And it is a punishing game. Uh, Never more so, at least for me, than being thrown into the game's boss battles. The reason I found these so difficult is because I'd loved and lovingly specced into archery and assassination and all these like clever ways to engage, which I absolutely adored every time I had an infiltration or took on a group, particularly once I had enough hit enough altars to get those perk points to fill out the trees of the things I was interested in. I felt so effective. I felt like a superhero, and that's how I want to feel towards the end of a game. However, come to these boss fights and you are stuck in a small arena. You have your suite of weapons. However, you rarely get things refreshed. So what you have is whatever was left when you got to the final room of the castle, whatever it was you were infiltrating. So you probably don't have too much on hand in the way of sake, which is your healing potion, effectively, or your quickfire weapons. So that made things more difficult, and also made it even more of a big deal that you had to lean back on the weapons you have on hand and the ability to use them effectively. And that means dodging and parrying, knowing when to come in, knowing when to drop out, timing, which would be all well and good if I had spent more of my time throughout the rest of the game where it wasn't essential one-on-one there right in front of you and so very fast boss fights, honing those skills. I hadn't honed those skills, so I got into those fights and I suffered. I got very cranky at the last boss fight. The irony of which being, I loved the last fortress. Every time I would go to a new area, I would go straight to all the enemy encampments, because slowly coming in and cleverly diving in and out of the long grass and sniping uh, with the long range bow guys that are on the top of watchtowers, and having that Assassin's Creed approach where I work my way from the top down so as not to alert other guards wherever possible. I love that stuff. I also love the world. I think following the wind around is fantastic. I actually, if I was going to play it again, or if you haven't played it yet and you're thinking about it, I would recommend not using the map at all. I think objective markers, and this I don't think has ever been the case that I can think of. I think objective markers kind of ruin this game. I think it's helpful if you want to mainline it, but if you, like me, know you want to do everything anyway, what I loved from the beginning was it is the perfect game and the perfect size map to just look around the horizon, and you can use your spyglass for this if you want to. Notice things like smokestacks, interesting looking elevated trees, just things that look mildly out of place, any building. And look, I'm going to be honest, for the first 40 hours of the game, I didn't realize your spyglass can be used to, should you hover over something, it will have a gold crosshair that expands and then it tells you what that thing is in the distance. Didn't know that. But what I was doing was simply looking at the game world and just riding at something I knew I hadn't been to. And I enjoyed that much more than when I was going to where I knew a quest was. In fact, I don't think it was until almost the end of the game that I was quite specifically going to like a diamond that I had identified on the map of, okay, we're going to drive. We're going to ride straight in that direction. And that's where we're going to go. And I think in that way, the immersion is really effective. And it also does some work to forgive, for example, that complaint about the button to pick up a flower or get on the horse is the same as to pull up changing weapons. The reason that is so is because the UI is hidden for the rest of the time. So if you want to get into that menu and they're out of buttons, you have to use one of them. It pops that, and it's nice that it's not there. It's lovely there's no mini map. It's so lovely and it works so well. I don't think I realized there wasn't a mini map for a really long time. There's also lots of good accessibility options in there. For example, I decided to have instead of trying to see where the wind bits were going, you can do a couple different things with the guiding wind. So it will show you where you're trying to go, essentially where the objective is, but in a subtle way, should you want to be directed somewhere specifically. I, instead of trying to like look at the swibbly bits, I had the camera automatically just pull me to the direction it was facing. You can also make the wind more obvious, but it's little things like that. Or for example, it likes to put you in cinematic view when you get on your horse. I don't want to be in cinematic view. I don't want the bars top and bottom. I just want to see everything. It's the same as when I loaded up Outer Worlds 2. I increased the field of view. I want to be back. So yeah, and it like has the option to take that out. I kept, when I was in these one-on-one battles that I found difficult, or early game where I was versing 6 different people who have 6 different weapons, and you need to change your weapon to match their weapon in the scissors, paper, rock of weapons, I would accidentally on the controller hit the button on the D-pad that brings up camera mode. Camera mode is very accessible in this game, and it makes sense. The game's beautiful. But when you're fumbling with a controller that is completely full, most of which are things that you need to use in combat engagements, accidentally flipping into photo mode is not what you want. But yeah, that you can turn that off as well. So there's a lot of quality of life things they've thought about. By and large, I thought the story was somewhat rote. There's definitely bits that made me cry. I quite liked her character in the end. I felt like there was a lot of cliches and a couple of plot twists that didn't really make sense to me. But by and large, I loved the world. I loved being in it. The vast majority of the gameplay I really enjoyed. Whilst I think things got a little soured for me at each boss engagement simply because I found it so excruciatingly hard and I basically had to relearn the way to play the game in like the very specific way that I needed to succeed in those engagements. The rest of it I really loved. There's a lot of reward for exploration. It's stunning. Yeah, I think if you liked the first game, I'd really recommend this one. And it was sick. The end. That's the end of the segment. Now for segment, what's been happening in video games? What's been happening in video games? Well, a bunch of stuff because I make this once a week and lots of things happen all the time. But I think, and again, you'll get back to me. You'll let me know what you enjoy, what works, what doesn't. But here's what I think I'm going to do, that I wanted to, is just pick something out that I think is interesting from the week of video game news and talk to you about it. So that's what I'm going to do. This week, what I want to talk to you about is, and I'll read the title here of the GameSpot.com article, place I used to work. Take-Two CEO doesn't believe AI can compete with Grand Theft Auto. Strauss Zelnick, if you don't know, is the CEO of Take-Two. Now, these are the guys who are the heads of the parent company of 2K. They are responsible for such franchises as Grand Theft Auto, little game called Grand Theft Auto, and Red Dead Redemption, among other things. GTA Online, mainly GTA Online at this point. But it was very interesting and I think very valuable to have Strauss Zelnick come out this week, and I'll quote what he said during an appearance on the news. He said, let's say there wasn't any constraints on AI. Could we push a button tomorrow and create an equivalent to the Grand Theft Auto marketing plan? The answer is no. A, you can't do that yet. And B, I'm of the view that you wouldn't end up with anything very good. You end up with something pretty derivative. And he's completely right. He goes on to say that the thing about AI, and I think we're coming to understand this, I think there's still a fallacy that it is novel or can help you or is coming up with ideas for you. It's not. All it's doing is mining what has been, and that's all it can do. It can't imagine, it can't generate any new thoughts or opinions. And I think one of the dangerous things is it seems like it can, in the same way where when it says things, it conveys them as if they're facts. Everything it says confidently. And anywhere in life where someone conveys something with confidence that's incorrect, it's super dangerous and it's bad for everybody. As Zelnick goes on to say, by design, it can only become a suggestion conglomerate of things that came before. So it is not going to be particularly creating the kinds of things that a developer like Rockstar are known for, which is these Easter eggs and secrets and this depth and attention to detail in their video games that I would argue doesn't really exist anywhere else. The level that they go to, the level of depth and creativity, and it's probably they have a lot of money, but pressing into the most minor of spaces. The fact that in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can go to a bar and NPCs will sit down to their meals. NPCs, this is not in a cutscene. This is not necessary at all. They will sit down to a meal and they will finish that meal. You can sit and watch them eat. They will start with a plate of food and they will slowly work their way through it until they are done. These are unnamed NPCs. That's a wild thing to do. Someone decided. I couldn't necessarily say for sure because I'm not AI that confidently says things that aren't true. I haven't heard of that before existing in at least a game that big, creating something that inconsequential. That doesn't need to happen. That is not adding anything meaty to the gameplay experience or even anything minor that would stop the game from being a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't there. It's something that was formulated, greenlit, and implemented by a group of game devs who cared about making something as fleshed out and detailed and engrossing and creative in ways that they didn't have to. And something that can only pick things up that have been done before isn't going to create in that way. And that's why it's not interesting. It's not interesting. It's not new. It's not going to be inspiring. And those are the things that make all video games valuable, and all creations for that matter. Can you tell I don't love AI? Well, in the creative industry, especially, but particularly Rockstar games. That is their bread and butter. Is those things. They're housed under like cowboy times or steel cars times, but what's underneath that and why they're so successful amongst everybody, not just people who want to run around and knock people over with a car, is because they're intensely successful at creating worlds that feel very real, and there's a lot to find in them. Exploration is rewarded. Spending time in those worlds is rewarded, and it's rewarded because the things you have to find are valuable and interesting and new. So I really, essentially what I loved about this news story is him coming out and saying this. He is a huge voice within the game development industry. And while we're at a place, which is kind of scary, where plenty of other big developers, there's a number of them. In the last week, EA is a good one to call out, who, and I'll read again, instructed their employees to treat AI as, I quote, thought partners in every aspect of game creation, which is terrifying. To have Take-Two come out, who are responsible for the direction of the biggest, most successful, most profitable video game that exists and is next year the parent company of the developer who's going to be bringing out the biggest game to come out since probably GTA 5 and the biggest game that's coming out probably this decade. The fact that the big head honcho is so anti-AI within game development, I think is so important and valuable and heartwarming And I think that that's really lovely, and it's a good place for us to be. So a little bit of bad news with the EA stuff and the other companies who are also going all in on AI, and Microsoft who's firing people. But at the same time, these little glimmers of stuff like this is heartening. And I think AI is going to be one of those things. I wanted to have another segment called the Temper 10 because my name was Tempetress as a username before I changed it to my real name so people could actually find me, where I would have a little rant about something for a while. But here it's sort of blended in with the previous segment, so we'll skip it today. Maybe we'll have it later. My complaint being that at the same time, while I think AI is just decimating games journalism right now, the things it's doing to the games industry are terrifying. Across the board, I was reading a Reddit thread, the amount of jobs it's coming for, to the point where people are saying, get into aged care, because right now it doesn't seem like that's an industry that it will necessarily take down and take huge bites out of anytime soon, because they need people who are practically there. It's crazy that people are digging around for what will be left, what is worth it at this point. I hate that shit. But yeah, I think that particularly for the creative industry, the arts industry, of which gaming is of course a part, I think that while what's happening now is a lot of moneymakers who want to maximize profits, realizing they can cancel a bunch of budget that they have to spend on salaries by replacing that with AI. I think that what will happen is we will be in a dark age. And then, whilst the moneymakers will not look at the game or the journalism or the art or the book or the movie and say, this is worse, because I don't think they will. They'll just see that it was cheaper. I think what will happen, or at least the non-Strauss ones, the ones who are pro AI, I don't think will necessarily mind that the quality is worse. But what will happen is the consumers will care. And ultimately, I think, I hope, I believe that, for example, take a gaming website that has decided to replace journalists with decades of experience digging up leads, having thoughtful takes on games that are coming out, just knowledge, contextual, deep knowledge that can't just be Googled about the relationships between companies and previous tensions, things that are going on, speculation, hypotheses, what's a full-on rumor, what's a probably true rumor, and what is fact, which AI doesn't seem to know the difference between. I think we'll see that websites who've decided to go the majority AI route will produce things that are less valuable. People will realize that upon arriving at that site looking for news, there's just something that's hitting the lowest common denominator that's not really offering them anything valuable. Those websites will not have the ability to do interviews, and if they do, they're not going to be thoughtful. They're not going to deliver a question that's really broaching. If AI does have, and it does, the ability to interview, one, how dare you put a game director, developer, some seasoned, how dare you put Hideo Kojima opposite your robot AI to ask him questions? But that will happen, I swear to God. But essentially, even if it did do those interviews, and my argument is, for the meantime, it won't. So you won't even get original content at all. It'll just be essentially a rewrite of the press release that goes out. So it's going to be just promoting the basic marketing Wikipedia top line stuff, much like Google AI does. What you're going to get is the people who really care about journalism, who are probably going to GameSpot for journalism, who are going to What Culture for personalities, who are going to Twitch because, or maybe you here because you want to hear a human have thoughts that they are currently coming up with because of me, because it's stream of consciousness and I hadn't thought about this too much before. Maybe they've thought about it before in an intellectual way and written it down, not like me. But people are going to notice that they're not getting that, and they are going to move to the places they are getting that. They're going to go to where there's personalities and opinions and thoughtful investigative journalism, or if not investigative, because I know a lot of people who work in games journalism, they are so short-staffed, they simply have to cover the big news, and there's often not time to go do investigative journalism. But for them, this article is a good point of an example for what I'm saying. It is coming from a journalist who knows what they're talking about, who has a tone and a take and experience and just this knowledge of the industry that they can personally interpret and take meaning from in a way that AI can't, from just combing what everyone has said about a particular topic. And I think that will save arts and gaming and journalism from the void. That is my hope, and that is my takeaway from what was going to be my little rant segment that it's kind of just blended with my what's happening in video games segment. I realize that often those might overlap. Sometimes what's happening in video games might not require a rant, although I suppose I rant about things I care about too. Maybe they're the same thing. I don't know. It's fine. We'll work it out going forward. That's the end of that segment. Now for a segment called You Gotta Play. You gotta play. You gotta play to win. You gotta pay to play. No, you don't have to pay to play. You don't have to pay to play. You don't have to pay to watch this. You don't have to pay to podcast. But if you want to see the dumb extended version where I do a puzzle, yeah, I'm doing a 3D wooden wolf puzzle thing. Because you guys saw it on stream and you wanted me to do it and it seemed like a thing to do. There is pay to that, but this is free. This is not related to what I'm about to talk to you about at all. It's called You Gotta Play. And for this episode, essentially what we were thinking about doing was a segment where I tell you about games that you might not have played, probably haven't played, I would even venture, because I play things that no one else is playing from however long ago, and then I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. If they're recent, it's because my old boss, Edmund Tran, who now works for This Week in Videogames.com, excellent gaming news website, told me, hey, you'd like this. And then that game consumes and destroys my life. And that's happened many times. But today I thought I would put as you gotta play a couple of Halloween games. But you already know all the scary games because there are lists all over What Culture Gaming, all over the websites of the world, telling you the scariest games to play, gory games to play. There's even huge lists of all the new pixel indie horror games, many of which are fantastic, lots of which get very big on Twitch, so you might have seen those. What I'm going to tell you about is games you can play for Halloween that are not too scary, but are very cool. One of them's called The Cat Lady, that has, I would say, a disquieting, disturbing art style combined with a narrative peppered with themes so disturbing that I'm second guessing whether I should have mentioned it to you. Maybe look up the trigger warnings. Essentially, it's a woman who she's critically depressed. She has nothing going on in her life. She's a very sad lady in a sad apartment in a sad existence. She gets pulled back from the grave by a mysterious, sinister kind of force and set on a quest to take out evil people that are kind of like murderers who've done like terrible things. And it's just the whole thing is quite icky. There's no combat, but the way that you need to engage with the world, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of nastiness here. So I think that's why I'm like, if you're looking for a horror game that has those nasty, intense, disturbing themes, but you just don't want to be running from something, I think that this game is fantastic. Also, I bet it's cheap as chips now because it's pretty old. Oh, yo, it's $1. Bitch, I'm not even kidding. In Australia, it is $1.18. Okay, I will buy you all this game. Go buy some of you this game. Oh God, it's playing another trailer. No, go on. Go. Send me the first 10 people who see this. If you write "Buy me the cat lady" and you put at your Steam username, I will buy you this video game. Because that's crazy cheap. I don't know why I'm buying you stuff now. We were talking about because I want to do more content creation. I've added a stream a week. Getting to a place where I make this more financially viable for myself. And then we were talking about a bunch of ideas wherein I've realized it's just going to cost me more money. Because really what I don't like doing is asking for money, despite having a little extended sponsor specific version of this podcast. And what I do like is giving you stuff. So yeah, anyway, go write "Buy me the cat lady" and I'll buy you the cat lady. Just be warned about the trigger warnings. It is like it's really heavy. It's really heavy on like depression and stuff. But overall, it doesn't like plummet towards oblivion. It just gets kind of like interesting and like still pretty fucked, but like it's just like that horror grit. The top line on Steam is "The cat lady follows Susan Ashworth, a lonely 40-year-old on the verge of suicide. Fun Halloween. She has no family, no friends, and no hope for a better future. One day she discovers that 5 strangers will come along and change everything." So anyway, that's my pick for You Gotta Play. What a fun choice for me to throw your direction for the first episode of this podcast. But it's Halloween. I believe I'm bringing this out on I'm going to bring this out on Sunday, actually. So Halloween will have just gone. But that's fine because you can still celebrate the season. That's okay. Steam is having something called Steam Scream 4, and that's not till November 3. So we're still in the season. You'll still be in the season. And 10 of you will be in the season for free. I'll buy it for you on PC. So make sure you want it on PC. I think it's only on PC. I don't think it's on Mac. Anyway, let me know. Let me know if you want it. Let me just check. Yeah. It's only on PC. Okay. So now that I've done that, that's the end of this segment. Finally, I have a segment called Gestions and Suggestions. Gestions starts with a J and is like Jess, like my name. And suggestions is like SUJESSTIONS. It's not flawless, but you probably saw a place card that I put in right before I started talking that showed you the spelling. So me explaining it to you now, probably unnecessary. But so is this podcast. Not as unnecessary as the addendum I'll do at the end, which is literally called unnecessary, among other things. So there'll be that going up that you can access on Patreon and Coffee, and I'll put it in the Discord for you, special if you want that. But for now, I'm going to answer some of your suggestions and suggestions. Suggestions and let's start. This is why we don't edit. It's authenticity, baby. So the first suggestion is from Jess, who says, use suggestion. Gestions somehow gets too close to gestations. This is a really good point. I appreciate that thought. I will take it under advisement. I would love if you could leave me a comment suggesting, oh gosh, I can't stop, whether we should drop gestion because it sounds gestatey or genitally inclined. Not a phrase I thought would be in this podcast, but also not terribly unsurprising either. Yeah, let me know. Let me know what you're thinking. Another one also from Jess is as a ride or die Swiftie, you've been unusually quiet about the latest album, despite prominently displaying the vinyl version in your content, which is also, oh, it's right there behind me. Should we be concerned? I don't listen to music as much as I used to. I don't know why. I think there's a thing where If you have a lot of media related interests, it feels like there's only so many you can do. I went on a reading kick for a while there, during which I wasn't playing games or really watching TV. I find it hard to fit TV and movies in around video games. For example, playing 80 hours of Ghost of Yotei, that's kind of my media time. And I'm not listening to music while I'm doing that. I've also kind of stopped listening to music while I work. Uh, Another segment I've been thinking about having on this that I kind of wanted to put in this first one, but I think it's gone too long, so I'm gonna cut it out today. But I'll probably put it in the next one, where hopefully I'll talk less if that's what you want. Will be called the non-video game thing segment, because I thought that was funny. Then just to say, just calling it that was suggested, and I think that's funnier. And as established, I would just do the thing that's funnier. Uh, yeah, essentially, I learned over the course of the last couple years that multitasking, the effectiveness of multitasking, is a fallacy. It is nowhere near as productive. You won't get things done faster. You won't get them done more effectively, and you'll enjoy them less. You're better off mindfully focusing on one thing at a time. So if I were to listen to music, and I did listen to the new Taylor Swift album, and when I do sit down and listen to it, I do really like it. I actually do really like it. But yeah, I think I'm just consuming music less because I'm either doing something like watching TV or playing a video game, or let's face it, scrolling too much, which is that'll be a different segment on the non-video game thing segment. It's a great name. Let's not change that at all. Doing things that aren't congruous with listening to music, or I'm working, or I'm writing stuff down, or I'm researching, and I've realized that I am less effective at those things and enjoy them less, and they take way longer if I'm listening to music at the same time. I don't necessarily have a takeaway as to whether, I don't know if I would recommend doing that. I think music is amazing in a way. I really miss it. I used to be one of those people that came away at the end of the year with a Spotify minutes listened number that was something to balk at. I won't this year. And I love music so much. It means so much to me. It's such a big part of my life. In a way, having fallen out of it a little bit is perhaps how people who love to read but just happen to have stopped reading feel. Um, but yeah, I think that that's mainly it. When the album dropped, I posted about it a bit on my stories. I do love Taylor Swift. I made a very silly Gen Z coded reel about it, although in a millennial way probably, because I am a millennial. But yeah, that's kind of the short and long of it. But I think it's really great. And I think the other reason, and community member Fiery commissioned on Coffee to ask me what I thought about the album. So he's got the whole story. But one of the things I also said is the album is thematically all over the shop. And I think it makes it a really fun listen. Of course, everything's pop. But within that, everything's got a different vibe, like emotionally and tonally. So it's not like listening to one of her older albums where it's all like a reputation, like fuck you, I'm in like a dark weird point in my life, or Tortured Poets where it's like I'm so fucking sad. Like it's sort of everywhere, which as someone who likes to listen to music to make me feel a way or reflect the way I currently feel, to have it on shuffle or run it through is like poo 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 poo. It's like now we're in revenge mode. Now we're over here being like, I love my boyfriend. It's like, I mean, I guess that's the human experience. But it also ping pongs around a lot. And I think sometimes I'd be in the mood for a bit of it, but not another bit of it. And I would normally just run an album through. For example, I tried listening to Lily Allen's new album, and it's great, but she is in a place. Oh my goodness. Did y'all see David Harbour was like banging he was her husband, the guy from Stranger Things, banging all these girls, and like she found out, and it's like a whole thing, and they have kids and everything. And so the whole album is just like calling him out and talking about what happened, and it's like, Real. Anyway, obviously I don't relate to that. So I'm like, damn, listening to it is like, damn. It's like the music's good, but I'm like, that's heavy. So that's kind of why. That's kind of why I've just been sort of listening to music less. And then ending on, oh my fucking god, Lily Allen and David Harbour. So what I'm gonna do is I'll answer one more question here, and then the rest of the questions I will answer in the extra portion extended edition of this podcast. If for some reason listening to me talk for an hour has not been long enough for you, in which, oh my god, I love you, you're so sweet. You can also support me on Patreon or Ko-fi without listening to the extended version. That's okay. I don't blame you. Podcasts aren't for everybody. But yes, that will be exclusive. And what I'm going to do in that, for now, I might regret this, is answer every single question you ask me. This might be super dumb, but I can't fit them all in this proper edition, so I'll answer like 3 questions in this one, in this like just gestions, McGestions. That might be it. McQuestions section. Ooh, it rhymes. Somebody write that down and send it to me. I'll answer a few of them, and then everything else I'll answer in the addendum. Now, in the addendum, basically what I'm thinking is I will talk about something that falls under the banner of don't tell anyone I said this. So it will literally be that. Just something a little more like controversial, uncensored, less public consumption-y. And then answering unfilteredly all of your questions. Don't make me regret it. Be good. So anyway, let me answer one more question for you. Fiery asks, what are your contenders for your game of the year? That is so hard, and this year's been so long and yet somehow so fast. I know I'm going to love Outer Worlds 2, but I've only played part of that. I think my game of the year is going to be Claire Obscure. I thought it was fantastic. I accidentally set it on hard when I was changing a graphics setting and didn't shut up about it because I never do that. I would never go into a game playing on hard. I am a normal girly through and through. Wouldn't play on easy because I have stupid pride. But I accidentally put it on hard, and then by the time I noticed, I was like 10 hours in, and then I was like, well, I'm not going to turn it down. I'll ruin the difficulty curve. Now I've gotten all chuffed about it. So I played the entire game on hard, which was nothing got broken, but stuff got close to being broken. But the performances were phenomenal. The world's gorgeous. It is one of the most inventive fantasy stories and worlds and dense, genuinely interesting sets of lore, and has such imagination that I think I've like ever seen. Like not just even video games, like in general. It is one of the most inventive, innovative settings and group of ideas that they pulled together narratively in terms of characters. I don't even know if you call it fantasy. It might be a little bit sci-fi. Whatever it is so interesting. They did such a good job. The gameplay systems are really engaging. There's definitely some little things about it that if you don't enjoy the complexity of the character builds, because boy, they can get really dense and granular, might put you off. Also, the turn-based / slightly real-time combat would drive some people crazy. Personally, for me, it was all just right. I really loved it. I loved my time in it. I missed out on half the game because I reached the end game, and I often do this, but particularly in this game, and I will not talk about the story or the ending. I got to the end and it just felt like the right place to stop. Hopefully one day I will forget that feeling of just that it really needed to be concluded, and it was the right time to conclude it, and I will feel like I can go back and do the rest because I know that there's more story in there I want to see and find. There are places I hadn't been and fights I hadn't finished. So At some point I might do that, which I know is ironic given I just said I was a completionist, but it was something about the strength of the narrative that often when I hit the end game, I did the same in Ghost of Yotei. When they say, you can go back and keep exploring now at the end, I'm like, nah, I was in it. Especially if the narrative gets you, you're like, I can't just go back. I can't keep going. Like, that's not, like, what do you mean? I can't just like load and pretend, because it's always like you go back to before the end state, usually, before the last boss. Sometimes it just lets you loose afterwards. Often it pulls you back before the last big thing happens. And I feel like, oh, just pretend that didn't happen. So you can keep doing other stuff. Which is why I tend to do everything I possibly want to do and think I can do before that. And I think I thought I did for Clair Obscure, but there was more that I had left over. Because I was playing on hard, there were bosses and encounters that were just extremely difficult. So some of those I ended up leaving and just went to the final boss. And then when the end game played out, I was ready to put it down. But yeah, I think that's probably far and away my game of the year. There are games this year that I still really want to get into, like Assassin's Creed Shadows, as I said, Outer Worlds 2, and there's another one that I think I would really enjoy, that I just haven't had the time to like properly tuck into. I didn't finish Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but I loved it. I thought it was great. Blueprints, no one finished that game. If you finished Blueprints and you didn't use a guide, you tell me, because I think you might be the only one. I've talked to so many people this year. Everybody loved Blueprints. I haven't talked to one person who finished it. It's because it has so many endings and you keep thinking you're done, but you're not done. Yeah. But I really enjoyed my time with that a lot. And then, yeah, I was just what I'm looking at now is I was just pulling up the different platforms to see the games I played this year. Bloody Alters. I desperately want to play more Alters. I think I really enjoy that. That's also on my list of games I really want to get into properly. I loved Citizen Sleeper 2. It is just way smaller scale than Clair Obscure. But also they're apples and oranges. They're apples and like fucking like little wooden boxes. It's like they're so incomparable. It absolutely depends on what kind of game you want to play, but I really enjoyed Citizen Sleeper 2. If you like something that's more strategy oriented, you might enjoy that. Yeah, and then there was something else I had on my list that I want to tell you about. I think it was on Steam. Man, this year, sorry, I can't believe how many things have come out that I've completely forgotten I even played. I've been going back and playing a lot of older games this year, so there hasn't been so many things that I picked up that are new. But I've enjoyed a lot of different things. That's everything that I can remember right now. Yeah, I think I played Indiana Jones. That came out in December, but I think I played it in January. So I think that was one of them. And wait, Root Trees didn't come out this year, did it? God, y'all need to play Root Trees Are Dead. If you are just like, games aren't hard enough. I want to use my brain more. I loved Obra Dinn. Why can't games be more like Obra Dinn? That's it. Root Trees Are Dead. It came out in January of this year. That's my favorite game of the year. The root trees are dead. I'm going to so I keep saying, I'm not going to edit this. I'm not going to do stuff. I am actually going to throw B-roll, which you would know because I don't know that I've edited this yet because I'm speaking live in the prelude of recording A-roll before this has been edited. I'm just describing to you what a shoot is before the edit. Anyway, I am going to put B-roll over the top of this so you can see what I'm talking about when I say, this is the game I think is my game of the year. That's right. The one you're looking at right now. Yes, look at those graphics. Look at that gameplay. Do you want to sit here and flip between 90s Google pages trying to unravel a family tree and the things that have happened between the members on it and who committed a murder? Hell yeah, you do. And then what do you want to do when you spent so many hours doing that? And genuinely, I didn't sleep when I was playing this game. It's all I could think about and dream about. It's all I spoke to people about. It has a thing at the end called Root Tree Mania, where you can do it like all again with a whole extra set of things that are going on in the future 10 years later. I bloody love that game. It might be that. I didn't even know I was going to say that, but I think it's that. So I recommended a bunch of weird games today. Between that and Cat Lady, I assume there's a certainty that you have not played both. If you've played both those games, you're a human after my own heart, and that's incredible, and I have nothing left to teach you. If you haven't, you might enjoy them. As always with my recommendations, it's completely dependent on what you like in your video games, what genre you like, what level of challenge, how you like that challenge, if you want something casual, hardcore, whatever. So your experience and enjoyment will vary, but these are the things that today and this week I've been playing, a little review, what's been happening in video games that I thought was interesting, something that bothered me, something I enjoy, something I think you've got to play maybe for Halloween, a non-video game thing that wasn't technically in the segment I was going to do as a segment, but I think I worked it sort of in across, and that put the nonsense in this being a podcast about video games and nonsense definition that you can find on the logo that I made without AI. Also, I answered some questions. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me. I just feel really excited to put this out there, and I really, I just hope just one of you gets a kick out of it, or you find something cool to play, or make you smile, or yeah, just like whatever it is that makes me happy. And that's why I wanted to do this in the first place. So thank you so much for joining me. I've been Jess. You've been a beautiful, kind human, particularly if you're listening to me saying this, because that means you listen to this for an hour, and that makes you pretty much my favorite human, all of you. And if you want to be my favorite human with the cat lady, be one of the first 10 people that says, buy me the cat lady in the comments. And I will buy you the cat lady. Because I just want to give you stuff. And I'm going to do that wherever I can. That's a promise. All right. Take care of yourself. This was doing it on the day. I did it on the day. Most of the stuff I didn't know I was going to say before I said it. And that is the spirit of doing it on the day. This week, go forth. Do something on the day. You're all right. You can do it. I believe in you. Love you. Bye.